All right. We're back at KubeCon.
Yeah, we are.
Why are we back here again?
Because it's our jobs.
Oh, right.
Yeah, sorry.
Okay, my name is Laura Santamaria, and I am a host for DevOps Dispatch, and we are here live at KubeCon North America 2023, and I have a very special guest with me. JJ, do you want to introduce yourself?
Hello, Laura.
Hi.
Yes. Hi, my name is JJ Asghar. I'm a developer advocate for IBM, and when people ask me what is a developer advocate, JJ, and first of all, I'll say I don't know.
That's a good answer to start.
But then I follow up by quickly saying, I'm a personable nerd.
You're a personable nerd. Okay.
Yeah, I just make really, really hard technical things make sense to the masses.
There you go. There you go.
Mm-hmm.
So I know you've been working on a very, very hard technical thing lately to make it easier for the masses. It's called AI.
Yeah.
And we're going to talk about community and AI because have you been able to find an AI community?
Not pulling any punches here. I come from the open source world.
Right.
Right. Like, I mean, I'm at KubeCon, obviously open source.
Well, yeah.
I mean,
for the most part. For the most part.
Or at least we're all based off of open source technology. Just like the one of the talks I saw recently, like one of the best parts of the Cloud Native Foundation as a whole is that we really do have real diversity, and we are based on open source and doing that work. So I'm used to having ways to communicate, ways to engage, and working in the AI space now. It's almost like it's too siloed. It's really weird. It's hard for me to, like, as an open source nerd, to go out there. I know there's like huggingface.co,
right?
Which is, if you don't know what Hugging Face is, it's the GitHub of ML AI.
Right.
So if instead of going to GitHub, you go to Hugging Face, and they've got some really nice wrappers around doing stuff there. But if I want to engage in something like KubeCon in the open in the AI space, it just doesn't exist.
Right.
All the AI conferences are all very corporate or very one-sided, of like someone trying to hawk something. It's not bringing people together to learn the technology, which is very foreign to me.
Right.
So how do we fix this?
I don't know. Maybe we should talk about community first, I guess, in general. Like, when you first were kind of getting into open source, but specifically getting into DevOps, because the DevOps community is very, very big around the world. And, kind of being at Chef, when you were there at Chef, you all had to create a little bit of that community, but it also already was there in some ways. So what was that experience more like?
So not only just at Chef, that honestly, I've done it a couple different times through my career. I mean, what is the joke? Life is a flat circle, right?
Exactly.
You just keep doing the same thing over and over again. It's just a different thing or a different flavor. The best time I had help building a community was at Chef, and then the configuration management wars, where there was enough of an interest from investments and VCs to try to convince what they would call the kingmakers, which are the developers, an opportunity to engage in this space. So what we did was we spent a lot of time in DevOps days. We spent a lot of time in community-based events that we would just go put our technology in front of the playmakers, right?
Right.
That's really hard with AI, because you're not going to go to a bunch of meetups and talk about, ChatGPT or Watson X or something like that, because it's something that you can't really just like grasp and all of a sudden use. You need to spend time with it. You need to mold it into doing what you need to make happen.
You're good.
Sorry.
Yeah, I mean, this is live. This is live. This is what live is.
Yeah, I guess it's true.
Well, so I guess kind of a thing that I keep seeing is I keep seeing a lot of people coming into meetups trying to talk about AI. They're either giving extremely basic versions, like what is AI, what is ChatGPT, what is Llama,
Watson X.
What are these things? But it's not always an example, or I see somebody giving basically a demo of their product.
Yes.
which, as you and I both know, is not really the best way to create community, is just to sit there and demo your product every few hours.
Yeah.
Doesn't quite work, does it?
So what we've been doing on the advocacy side over at IBM is we've written up some labs that have been, as my boss says, self-paced, JJ's in front of you showing it, and white glove, where we can actually kind of expand it or contract it.
Right.
Where you get to play with our AI technology, but it's obfuscated away, and it gives you something useful at the end.
Right.
Right. Which is one of the problems, is back to your point, if you're just going to demo a product, it's not useful to anybody because they can't take it and run with it.
Right.
I've had the best engagement where I've done this little chat bot we have. We have a low code, no code system called Watson Assistant, where we don't actually show you Watson X. We put this little shim on top of it where we do this little demo where you come out with basically an if-then bot where you say, hey, I want to change my cable bill and pay my telephone bill. It's like, it's a fake little thing.
Yeah.
But the idea is you build up this little no code, low code thing. But I tell you, you can now ask it questions like you would a normal human. And that's what Watson X is. So just like ChatGPT, where you're like, hey, write a sonnet about Kubernetes, it will write you a sonnet about Kubernetes. Same thing with Watson X. Hey, I need to give you money, or yo, take my money,
right.
or just like however you
whatever
you want to interact with them. That's the power of AI. And when you start realizing that, now all of a sudden, if you just have a bunch of simple facts, right, or frequently asked questions, now you can have a assistant just answer those things, so you don't have to. Which means you don't have more of a first line support. Which allows you to let those people start doing more important things, so you let the bot do the work for you. It's that same kind of narrative of automation. And unfortunately, in the short amount of time we have to be able to convince somebody to actually pay attention to us, it's really the only way to grasp the power of AI without going into the toy that is ChatGPT.
Right. So it's kind of hard to build a community around that.
Exactly.
Because you can't not demo a product, I guess.
Exactly. And, and then also you play off of the whole, like, I mean, I know there are a lot of data nerds out there, right? Like you just walk around KubeCon, you'll see a bunch of data platforms. But also it's really hard to build a community around data, right? Like,
yeah, I mean, some people are trying, I guess, kind of.
But I mean, I hate to say this I don't say this in a negative way, but one of the reasons why the DevOps movement succeeded so well is that it was a shared pain.
Right.
What we all had. I'm literally watching an Ansible playbook on that screen right there, right? Just going by over and over.
Maybe I should have frosted these pains.
And it's we as DevOps professionals, we lived that hell, right? We did, and we needed to make a way for our lives to be better. When you look at the AI space, it's not really designed to it's supposed to make your business better.
But it's not making your life better.
Exactly.
Because you're not, I don't know. I hear a lot of people talking about, I use it to go and get my Ansible structure for the playbook. Or I had somebody do it because they hadn't touched Docker Compose in 20 years or something. I mean, not 20 years. That'd be impressive.
That's very impressive.
I don't know. Like, he just made it sound like it was forever. But he hadn't touched it in so long. And he's like, I can't remember how to at least start the structure. So I was going to use Copilot to do this, that. I don't know that that's necessarily a shared pain. Yeah. It feels more like it's just
it's a tutor.
Yeah.
It's a tutor more than something that removes problems.
Right.
Which, don't get me wrong, it's important. Like, the world we're going into as we progress down this path is we need to learn a way to augment our lives with AI. It's that's just the way it's going to be. I'm not going to pull any punches. It's the next calculator, right? It is the next calculator. And it can do more than a calculator, which is great. But we also need checks and balances in front of it. Otherwise, frankly, we're not very far from Skynet. I mean, today we're far from
Creepy.
Sky. I know, but we could go down that path if we're not careful without real checks and balances.
You're going real dark today, JJ.
I mean, I spent all my time thinking about this stuff, and I miss just, messing around with Ruby to make a web server work.
Oh, goodness.
Now I'm a Python developer trying to, play with.
Hey, you're allowed to be a Python developer. Python developers are fine.
I never thought I was going to be one, but I actually am. I know, right? Well, with your mentorship, it's all worked. Yeah, it is true, by the way. She is actually my mentor in Python.
So I guess kind of coming back to that community discussion, like it seems like with so many of these systems intending to be open source, you would think that it would be a little easier to do the community part, but not so much because it takes so long and so much data to train. Is that mainly why what you're seeing?
Not only that, there's no what's the right word? Not validation. Yeah, validation. So models are created from data sets, right?
Right.
And without going into the darkness that is data sets, let's just talk about like a model that you've created.
Right.
You post that somewhere as an open source model. I have no way of knowing in 6 months if you actually posted that, apart from something like on Hiking Face that has like a little metadata said that Laura posted this thing.
Yeah.
There is no there's no SHA to a model, because what is a model? It's a binary blob. It's literally a binary blob that sits on your laptop.
Right.
So now think about all the different models we're creating and doing. We're dumping in there. We have no idea what data has been built off of these things.
Right.
So the open source ecosystem, there's back in the day, we had something called OSCON.
Yeah.
And now a lot of those people moved into something called FOSSI.
Right.
They had it wasn't an open space. They called it a working session. But the really interesting question that came out of it is how, as open source engineers, if we're going to be in this if we're going to play in this AI space, how are we going to engage and say that this is the model that I created?
Right.
And these open source engineers, which by the way is really the only community I've found that is asking this question, they decided, well, you have to ship the data with the model. You have to say that this data built this model, and I will show you how to recreate that. But the problem with that is there are companies out there that will never share their data sets.
Because they're not supposed to be using some parts of it? Or
we don't know, right?
We don't know. Okay, that's fair. We don't know.
Yeah.
There's no real information.
Exactly, because they want to just give you one interface to it, right? They don't want to give you the opportunity to recreate the thing they've built, spent hundreds of thousands of dollars or millions of dollars to build.
Right.
Right? Which, when you start going down that path farther, you're like, well, then how do you do this in open source? Right?
There's not like
there's no source code.
Yeah, there's no source code. There's no commit history. There's no trail really for anybody to follow to know what it was. And I guess licensing really hasn't caught up either.
Oh, that
by any stretch of the imagination.
That's another 20.
Should I turn it off?
No, I was going to say
gesturing to the thing.
I was going to say that's another 20 minutes right there. Don't even get me started about the licensing.
I mean, yeah. Licensing is a whole nother thing.
So,
yeah.
And there's just there's no easy answer to any of this. And because I use this term endearing, I'm going to say it anyway, because our normies out there, not technologists, but normies, started using things like ChatGPT.
Yeah.
They jumped on it immediately. And we were not ready as technologists to bring this to the world yet, because we didn't build the checks and balances that open source can use, i.e. something like Git or whatever, to do this stuff.
Yeah.
I know it's a very roundabout way of saying it, but we need to find first our community of open source engineers who want to focus on AI. Then we need to come together and build some level of, I know, I can say the tongue-in-cheek OpenStack story of we need to set up a Garrett system and then a bunch of governance on top of it.
I'm just making faces at JJ as he's saying this, by the way.
But the funny part is, honestly, we kind of need it. We've already lost so much time and effort in this space because the normies are coming for us.
The normies are coming for us.
Exactly.
I kind of need that as the tagline for this episode. The normies are coming for us.
But You get what I'm saying, though, right?
I do. It's kind of a question of when things are moving this fast, when things are going this fast, there's no way to really get ahead of it anymore. Now it's all reactive. Whereas with open source, it was always proactive. Mm-hmm. We could kind of plan it out and try to figure out what we were going to do and keep moving forward. But now it's not like that anymore. It's just kind of a good luck. Maybe we'll make it.
Yeah. And that goes, you circles all the way back to, if we're not careful, we're making Skynet.
You know, you just take me down this really, really dreaded rabbit hole here right now on this one. So like, let's bring it back to community, because I really don't want to go down that rabbit hole of Skynet.
All right.
Let's avoid Skynet. What do you say? We'll avoid Skynet.
Well, all you got to do is close the window. And there's no Skynet. No, I need to work.
You got to work on that dad joke. It's just not working.
I'll get there. There's got to be something there, though.
You got to cut the net.
That's not bad. I'll get there, though.
Okay. Eventually, we're going to have the pitch for open source AI from JJ.
Yeah.
Based on that. But going back to that community question. So, like, trying to find the people who are working on it, I almost get the same feeling that I get from a lot of startups with their open source projects.
Okay.
Because to me, their projects aren't quite, their projects are open source, but they're not community. They're not open community, right?
Okay.
Because they're not necessarily wanting external contributors.
Yeah. Because they're trying to make money.
Because they're trying to make money, and it's their product and it's their baby. And so when other people try to come in to help, they say they want it, but then it doesn't quite happen. And so I kind of wonder if that's a little bit of the same thing with AI, where it's kind of coming into that situation of, sure, we'd love to have you help with the model. We'd love to have you do all of these things. Yeah. But not really.
No. We don't want you to touch my baby. I want you to use my baby,
but not touch it.
Because again, the quote unquote source code, right? The data set, they're never going to give it to you.
Right. But it's kind of that community question of, well, then how do you build a community around it if people don't want to share what they have?
Minus that one company that I'm seeing through the door right there.
Hey.
I'm just saying they're an open core model.
That's true.
And that is really the only really successful open core model that I can think of right now that doesn't have something that it has real market share. And that goes back to, I guess
that's true.
If you really think about it, right? Like, what other open core models out there have really been successful? Okay, we can say Red Hat. All right, fine, I know. But it's still not 100% true now, even now.
Yeah, but I mean, I guess I'm almost wondering if there's like a whole nother category that we're not finding, because it's not open source.
No,
it's not open core even, because like these AI models, they're not really open core because the data set is the core.
Exactly. But what is it? They give you the binary for
open ecosystem.
So is it like shareware?
Oh God, are we going to start that now?
I think. I mean, if you think about it, like if you give that binary blob of a model to somebody to say, hey, do some inference off of this thing or whatever.
Right.
I mean, I guess
it's kind of shareware. Oh no. We're both just having this realization that, oh no, AI is shareware.
Yeah. That's even darker.
I don't want to leave on this note.
Well, I mean, but what amazing communities came out of the shareware world? Think of the back in the day of like getting like Duke Nukem on a floppy disk and finding all your friends that way.
Well, yeah, but I don't know if I'd say any good communities came out of the shareware world, man.
Okay.
I don't know. That's definitely a thing here, but it's an interesting question.
Yeah.
What is this next model? How can we make it open source? It's not quite open source, and it's not quite open core.
Laura, I dare say we're going to have this conversation again at some point.
Yeah, we probably are.
Because, I mean, I would love to actually, like, I mean, what is it they call it? They call it the call to action or whatever.
Yeah.
I would actually, honestly, for people who listen to this, I would love for them to reach out and have this conversation with us.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, maybe we're creating a community that way.
Maybe, you know what? Maybe what...
The meta of that.
I'm going to hit you with this microphone. Maybe what we can do, and we're kind of getting to time-ish. I mean, we can probably talk for a little bit longer, but we're trying to keep this podcast booth moving quickly here while we are live. Maybe what we can do is say that maybe we'll have like a live forum somewhere.
Ooh.
You and me on a microphone, and then we'll have extra microphones, and people can just participate. This could end well or very, very poorly, and I'm not sure how that's going to happen.
Honestly, I really think it's a conversation our community needs to have as a whole.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a DevOps conversation in the sense that DevOps is being invaded by AI. I don't know if that's the proper way to put it. It's kind of being augmented by AI.
Honestly, I would say even the even the AI engineers, however you want to call them, data engineer, whatever, they need the things from the DevOps movement, SRE movement, platform engineering movement to make their stuff work.
Right.
So they are still coming to us, but we need to also understand that we also need to work together to be successful.
Right. Yes.
So
we do.
This is a conversation we all should be having.
So maybe we should have it with
everybody.
Oh no. Did I just propose a panel?
I think you did.
Oh no.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
It's okay. Well, we'll have to figure out when we're going to do that. Maybe we'll do it live. Maybe we'll do it in all kinds of different ways, but we'll have to figure that out.
There's so many different communities for it.
I know. That's the question. Like, how do you find all of these communities, and how do you kind of put them all in the same space and say, let's go. We're all going to be having this conversation at once. Yeah. Is that the best choice?
Mailing lists. Let's start our own
mailing list. I mean, how many mailing lists have I started this year?
Actually, that's
Don't
true.
ask me that.
That is true.
So, on that note, thank you for joining me, JJ. We talked about community. We talked about AI. We talked about open source. Is there anything else you want to say before I play the music and we roll credits and escape and run away?
If you'll have me back in the next KubeCon, I have a feeling we're going to continue this conversation.
We probably will. Yeah. Maybe we'll just have a podcast without even continuing it that way, because that would be kind of fun.
Yep.
But also we have to pose for pictures as we go.
There's a lot of them coming out here.
Yeah. This podcast booth has had a lot of people taking pictures. It's been highly entertaining.
That's awesome.
On that note, JJ, thank you for joining me.
Thank you for having me.
Yay. This is Laura Santamaria. This is DevOps Dispatch live at KubeCon North America 2023. Thank you so much for joining us.